Hello, this is Maggie McCullough, and I'm hoping everyone can see my screen. And welcome this afternoon to our sneak peek of the new platform that we've been building for you at PolicyMap. My name is Maggie McCullough, and I am the CEO and founder of PolicyMap. For those of you who don't know who we are, PolicyMap is an online data and mapping application that allows our users to visualize tens of thousands of indicators related from everything from housing to health, demographics, and more. And what we wanted to do today was give you a peek, a look at the new platform that we've been building, which is going to give you, so what we're going to show you today is this new platform which we've designed to give you more contemporary maps and additional analytic capacity. So as we go through the webinar today, we would love to hear your questions. You can feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar interface. And when we finish up, we will answer as many of those questions as we can. And if we don't get to your question during this hour, we will get you an answer afterwards. The webinar is being recorded. We'll be emailing it to you afterwards. We'll be posting it on our website. So there's different ways for you to share it with your colleagues or rewatch it. And with that, let's get started. So as we think about, we've thought about there's really 5 ways that this new platform is going to allow you to do more than what you can with the current PolicyMap. And one of those ways is what we call dig deeper. And that basically means that you can zoom in further on the map. With this new mapping technology, there's 22 zoom levels that will allow you to map in 3D. You will be able to see building footprints, and you'll be able to map parcel data. In addition, and this has always been something that we've wanted to do at PolicyMap since we very first launched, one of our underlying goals is we want to help people to find and understand data quickly. So this new mapping technology allows you to hover on the map and immediately see values for the places that you care about. You can click on the map to then see information about the benchmarks as well as a trend chart of how that place has changed over time. And while you've always had the ability to edit ranges in PolicyMap when you're looking at thematic data on the map, we've now provided you with a histogram so that you can see where data sits and you can select cut points for your ranges that make sense for that data. And we've improved the menu that we have for finding data, as well as implemented a very easy to use data search bar. One of the hallmarks of PolicyMap, sorry, that was custom regions. This also gives you the ability to customize your maps. And this is something that we've heard from our users for a long time. So we now have a base map that you can edit, and I'm going to show that to you. You can select from additional base map options. You can customize your point level data. This is address level data that you load on the map by changing the colors of those points as well as the icons. And you can change the width and color of boundaries that you add to the map. One of the hallmarks of PolicyMap has always been custom regions. And custom regions is a way for you to draw on the map and pull out data and pull out a report that's specific to an area that you're very interested in. We're giving you new ways to draw custom regions and new ways to edit them. And lastly, you're going to be able to conduct deeper analytics. So whereas on current PolicyMap, you can find areas that meet up to 3 criteria, on the new PolicyMap, you can go up to 5. So I'm going to take you into a demo, but I also want to let you know that if you want to stay up to date with where we are with the release and the rollout plan, you can go to our website at policymap.com and sign up for our newsletter. And with that, we're going to go into the tool itself. All right, so here is PolicyMap. So for those of you who are familiar with the application, you can see that the interface is not dramatically changed. And we did that on purpose because we didn't want our current users, we have about 450 organizations that are annual customers of ours, we didn't want them to get confused or lost when they first came to the new PolicyMap. So much of the interface is the same, but you're going to see a lot of improvements embedded in the overall application. The biggest improvement is this underlying map. So this is new mapping technology, which is much more fluid than what we've had in the past. It will work on mobile. And as I said before, it is going to allow you to zoom in further. So if, for example, we went to Philadelphia, which is where our office, when we're in it, is located, we can zoom to Philadelphia on the map, and we can go in further. And as you zoom in further, you're going to see, just so you know, right here, this is about where current PolicyMap takes you. From this point, you could not go any further into the map on current PolicyMap. The new PolicyMap lets you go into 22 zoom levels. And as you start to do that, you can start to see building footprints. Let me just pan over here a bit. You can see these building footprints are outlined. What this means is that parcel data, whether it's parcel data that we load for you or parcel data that we load into the application, you're going to be able to see data for those individual parcels. So we are currently in conversation with 2 parcel data providers to see what it is that we can make available to our users. That you'll be able to look at that parcel data on top of all of the other data that we have in the application, which will be really valuable for understanding specific places in areas that are of interest to you. So let me just zoom out and get away from the rail lines here. So let me pan over to, say, along Broad Street. So you can see these parcels. You can also take the map into 3D, which gives you a very different look of the area that you are exploring. And from here, and I can take this out of 3D, from here, you can change your base map settings. I'm going to log in. So base map settings are here. You can remove the buildings if you don't want to have the buildings on the map. You could remove the road labels. You could remove the roads themselves if you wanted to. You can remove points of interest, parks, and so on. You also have the ability to change your base map. So this is the standard base map that PolicyMap will default to, but you could decide you wanted to have a light base map, or you wanted to have a terrain base map. Satellite is being loaded now, so you will also be able to have a satellite map. And then you will be able to see data on top of those various base maps, which is something that we've heard from our users for a long time. They've wanted the ability to do, and now you will have the ability to do that. So with that, let's probably make sense to start talking data. So if I go back to our map of Philadelphia, you will see that all of the data in PolicyMap is still in these menus along the top of the map, but we've improved them so that you don't fall off. Falling off of the menu is an expression that many of our users have had where they try and select a particular indicator, but they keep falling off the menu. So these are designed in such a way that hopefully that will not happen. So if I click on median household income, just like in PolicyMap, the indicator appears right away. I'm able to see on the legend that those places that are darkest purple on the map are those places where the median household income is $84,700 or greater, and that the map right now is shading at a census tract level. And I can zoom in a little bit if I want. The legend also, as always, gives us a very short description about what we're looking at, and the I will always give you detailed information about this indicator, if we had to apply suppressions, why, and it will have a link to our data directory, which gives you the original source of the data. So we have at this point almost 50,000 indicators. They're all available in these menus here for you to explore. And one of the new features that we have is that in addition to reading the legend to understand what you're looking at on the map, you have the ability now to hover and actually see, as you hover around the map, what the median household income is for the census tract that you've hovered over. So if I hover over this one, for example, this is telling me that this census tract has a median household income of $104,643. And when I click, I'm going to get information about how that median household income in that census tract compares to the higher geographies in which it sits. So I can see that it is higher than the zip code at 82,632. It's much higher than the city of Philadelphia, where the median household income is $43,744, and higher than the state as well. And to see how that place has changed over time, all I need to do is click See Full Chart. So right now, this chart is giving us median household income for that census tract geography, as well as all of the other geographies in which it sits. So as you're making a chart, you may decide, I really don't want to know how it compares to the zip code or Dwight Evans's district. The city and the county in the case of Philadelphia are the same, so I'm going to take them off. And I'm not interested in the metro area. So now I've created a chart that's showing me how the census tract income has changed, how it compares to the city of Philadelphia, and how it compares to the state. And so once I've made a chart that is of interest to me, and you can hover over the time periods and see the actual values for those places, you can then download that chart as a PNG to incorporate in your work, and you can download the underlying data as a CSV file. So this now gives you, by one click on the map, how the place has changed over time and how it has changed over time compared to the higher geographies in which it sits. From here, you'll be able to download data as well as get one of the reports that we have in PolicyMap. We have 4 that are available, and you can click right from the map to get one of those. So in addition to the ability to hover and click to see more information, the legend, it's always been very powerful in PolicyMap. From the legend, you can change the year that you're looking at. You've always been able to change the variable. You can change the color ramp on the map. You're not stuck with the PolicyMap purple. And you can edit the ranges. And as I mentioned previously, you can now see in a histogram where the data falls and change your cut points for those ranges by sliding these little slider bars. And you'll note that as I'm doing it, the map is refreshing. That's unique, right? You don't have to go in and out of this interface to see what that's doing to your map. So you can make these sliders however you want those cut points to be. You can also put in actual values in these places. As with current PolicyMap, you can look at a layer of data on a map, and you can also put point level data, address level data on top. So if we look, for example, at HUD multifamily points, I'm going to put those on the map. I'll zoom out a little bit more, but you can see that the HUD multifamily locations all immediately shade or color as an orange diamond. And when I hover over any one of them, I can see the name of that HUD multifamily property. And when I click on it, I can get more information about that development, site information, the household demographics, the REACT scores, and so on. What I can also do now, and this is not available in the current PolicyMap, is I can say, I really need these icons to be larger. I would like them to be circles, and maybe I'd like them to be red. So you now have the ability to customize the map in a way that enables you to best tell your story or best make your case to someone. Previously, you were sort of stuck into whatever the map gave you by default. And one of our goals with this rebuild was to provide you with more opportunities to customize your map. So as you know, you could layer on more than one point level data set at a time and change those icons as well. The other piece where we've added more customization capacity is within boundaries. So boundaries is when you want to add a set of outlines to the map to maybe help give your users a sense of where they are in space. So zip codes is a common way to do that. So when I click on zip codes, I will see now the zip code boundaries and their numbers, 19122, and here is the zip code boundary. You now have the ability to turn off or on the labels. So maybe I don't want to have the numbers on, or I could put them back on. And I can make this line that outlines the zip codes, small, medium, or large. I can make it dashed or dotted, and I have the ability to now change the color. So again, these are, some of these are customization tools that are common in other mapping applications, but one of the challenges that we've always had at PolicyMap is that we're working on a very old technology. And while we were able to provide you with, 50,000 indicators, we were never able to provide that data to you in a very fluid, interactive map that allowed for this level of customization. And that is what we're hoping that with this release, you're going to be able to now have. So I'm going to take some of these things off and talk for a minute. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is that in addition to being able to search for data in these menus, you can also type in data. And I'm going to show you that when we go into multi-layer maps. But it's an easier way to find the data that you're looking for quickly without having to hunt and peck through these menus. So if we go to custom regions, this is, I mentioned before, probably one of the most frequently used tools in PolicyMap, where people really have an area that they're trying to understand and learn more about, or an area that they want to strategically target for a program. This gives them the ability to draw that area on the map, save it so they can visualize it, on a map later, but also pull out information about that place. So we've now given people the ability, we've always had the ability to draw, but as you'll see, the draw feature is much more fluid. So you just draw the area that you are interested in targeting. You have the ability at any point to edit if you've made a mistake. This is not something that we were able to provide our users in the past, but as you're drawing, if you realize you've made a mistake, you can edit it. You can also add a second shape to that same region. So if you have a region that really has multiple geographies that you're interested in, you can do that. And again, you can edit it by pulling along any of these little dots. And then you can continue, and like with custom regions in PolicyMap now, you can give it a name, you can save it, you can change the color, you can change the transparency. Again, just more customization options for you to really be able to personalize this map and make it as compelling as it needs to be for the work that you need to do. So in addition to being able to draw more than one area and save it as a region, as well as edit, you can also create an assembled custom region. And this is also something that we have in PolicyMap now. And this allows you to assemble predefined geographies into a group. So it is, because of the zoom level, it is giving me boundaries at a block group. And I can go back to this area where I have an interest, and I can click. And as I click on these block groups, they get shaded, and it's letting me know that I am creating a custom region that is comprised of these 6 block groups. And I can click continue, and I can do the same thing, give it a name, change the transparency, the color, but I can also say, oops, I forgot an area, and I can go in and click on some additional places and then save. So you can make these kinds of edits while you're in the process of creating a region, and you can make these kinds of edits after you've saved a region. You can call it up again and make those edits. The third way that we have for people to make custom regions is radius region. And this is, all you have to do is click on the map, and you get by default, a ½ mile radius around the center of this, of where I clicked on the map, a ½ mile radius. You can change it by simply clicking a different spot on the map, or you can enter in an address in this center of radius bar to create one that way. So again, these are ways to really, identify the places where you want to focus your work, a target area, save it. Your custom regions will come up that you've saved in this View My Region list, and then you can click on it, and from there you have the ability to delete it, edit it, share it with other people, what have you. So I also want to talk to you about MultiLayer Map. And to do that, I'm just going to reset this for 1 second. And I'm going to log in again. So in 3-layer maps in PolicyMap, you've always been able to find areas on the map that meet up to 3 criteria. And the MultiLayer Map now allows you to do it for 5 indicators. And so the example I was going to use today, as we think about the current situation that we're in, and I promised Phil that I wasn't going to say that I'm doing this from my small home office, but I am, which feels a little strange. I know this feels really strange for all of us. You will see a lot of maps now in circulation, and the maps are showing us how this virus is spreading, the speed at which it's spreading, to which locations it's spreading. But there's other kinds of maps that we can think about and use to understand what may happen in our communities and how we might better prepare. And this is hypothetical, but I'm just going to throw out this example to you and think about the vulnerable populations in our communities where the CDC has said that there are people with certain different conditions who, were they to catch this virus, they're going to be more sick and they're going to have a harder time recovering from it. And so we could identify those places in an area like Philadelphia as a way for organizations to, think about interventions that could take place now to help these people. So as I was mentioning, this data search bar allows you to find, of the 50,000 indicators that are in this platform, find specific pieces of data and put it on the map and not have to hunt and peck through these menus. The menus are great for exploration, but this can make things a little bit faster. So if I want to look at, if I want to go back to median household income, when this loads, the whole map is going to shade purple, because in MultiLayer Map, I need to set a range. I need to set one range, a filter. So in this case, I'm going to say, I just want to see those places where the median household income is 35,000 or less. So now the purple on the map is just those places. So median household income, 35,000 or less. So one of the areas that the CDC has talked about is where people have diabetes. And so we do have that data in PolicyMap. I could just type in diabetes, and here's the estimated number of adults ever diagnosed with diabetes in 2017. This is actually being updated as we speak, so we're going to have newer data shortly. But if I click on that, as that loads, I'm now going to ask for places that also have at least 10% of people who have ever been diagnosed with diabetes. So now it starts to shrink a little bit, right? Another is asthma, which is another indicator that we have in PolicyMap. Estimated percent of adults reporting to have asthma in 2017. So I can add that to the map and similarly say that we want to just see places where 10% have asthma. So now 3 conditions are being met. The estimated median household income of these places is $35,000 or less. 10% or more of the people who live there have diabetes, and 10% or more of the people who live there have asthma. We could also look to see, of these places, which ones are medically underserved communities. This data is as of 2019, and when this loads, it's really what we call categorical data. So it's, it's either a medically underserved area or it's not. And for medically underserved, there's a few categories, but I'm going to take off areas that are not a medically underserved area and areas that have insufficient data. So now we've added a 4th criteria. You could never do this in current PolicyMap. So these are areas, they met those 3 conditions, plus these are medically underserved areas. And if we click on the eye to find out exactly what a medically underserved area is, they're designated places as they're designated as having too few primary care providers, right? High infant mortality, high poverty, high elderly population. So these are areas without access to a primary care provider, they will end up needing to go to a nearby hospital, which we'll put on shortly. There are also, these communities need to be able to get to food, grocery stores within their communities without having to travel far to get to those stores. So if we look at the Reinvestment Fund did a low supermarket access area. I'm not looking for the score.
Limited.
Limited, that's it, limited. So if we put on limited supermarket access, this is another categorical indicator. So I'm going to say that I just want to see places that have limited access to a supermarket. So I'll take off not, and now you see even fewer places. So these places on the map meet all 5 conditions that we've set. And if you click on one, you'll see the 5 conditions. So in this area here, the median household income is $30,503. 15.3% of the people have diabetes. 13.2% have asthma. It is a medically underserved area, and it is an area that has limited supermarket access. So these are pockets where, as a public health entity, I might want to think about interventions to make sure that these communities, because they're going to have a harder time should they get sick, where we could create a set of interventions now. So we could, for example, under health, load in hospitals to see where the hospitals are located. And again, here I can change the icons and make them bigger. I can make them red. And you can see that you have, these are the hospitals that may be more impacted, these in particular here, by these communities in need. And so that was the demo. I recognize that I probably spoke a little fast, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and show you anything else that you would like to see in the application. So these are grocery retail locations, these orange boxes, squares. But the thing to remember here, there's also filters that you can apply, is that not every grocery store is a full grocery store. A lot of these orange boxes are corner stores where they're not going to have the supplies that people need. So if we can filter and say, we just want to see what is a full service grocery store. So now you can see where you have areas where the full grocery store, here's an Aldi, a Save-A-Lot, Associated Supermarket. So these are supermarkets where, you know, in a time of crisis, there's going to be a lot of need to go there. And they can be resources that the hospitals can use to get to people here, perhaps. But all of this data can be mapped. And as we think about how we best prepare communities for this, these kinds of data points become particularly important.
Just a question from Ben, originally about exporting the data as GIS layers, but I wonder we can talk a little bit about what's exportable, even though it's not in this public release.
Yes. So all of the data that we have in PolicyMap that doesn't come from a proprietary data provider, you can download through our download feature. And that is downloaded as CSV files. So right now, we do not have the current platform never had the capacity to allow people to download files as GIS files. With this technology, we're going to be able to do that. It's not going to be part of this release. So downloading as CSV files, you know, the non-proprietary data is something that you can do in PolicyMap.
Everyone's really excited. It seems like they're trying to figure out when they'll be able to use the new features.
Yes. So the new, what's going to happen is this is likely going to be released in the next week. When you go to PolicyMap and log in, you're going to see a link at the top that says, dig deeper, explore the new PolicyMap. When you click on that link, it's going to take you into the new PolicyMap. You'll only have to log in once, and you're going to be able to toggle back and forth between the two applications. So we're releasing it that way. Number one, so our existing customer base can get used to the new application before we turn off the old one. And number two, while the platform itself has been completely rebuilt, there are some features which we have not finished yet. So downloading data, you have to do through current PolicyMap. So if you want to download data, you just toggle to the old PolicyMap to download data. Uploading data, you toggle to the old PolicyMap to upload data. It's going to be like that for a short period of time before those things can get released, and then we'll slowly dismantle the old platform. And there's new features too, beyond bringing PolicyMap up to, you know, getting all the features that are on existing PolicyMap into the new platform. In MultiLayer Maps, for example, you're going to be able to make maps that are OR, right? So they're really layering 5 data sets. So it's not find areas only that meet a set of criteria, but it's find areas that meet this criteria or this one or this one. So that kind of layering is something that our users have been asking for. That feature is actually done, but we haven't tested it enough to really release it. So that's going to be coming soon as well.
Looks like Gary and Elise both had the same question, which is, will the current work be available in the new platform and vice versa?
So all of your custom regions are going to be available in the new platform. So these are custom regions that I made in the old platform, or they're custom regions that someone shared with me in the old platform. They're all going to be accessible when you go into the new platform. My saved work will only be available. So if you've saved maps, that's only going to be available into the old platform. The whole my saved work has to get ported over to the new one. And any custom regions that you make in the new platform, they will also be automatically shared with the old platform.
So someone had a really very similar question about being able to get data for the 5 criteria results. So maybe the ability to make a custom region from them and then into a report.
Yeah. So you would be able to, with these resulting layers, say I want to make an assembled custom region, and instead of block group, maybe I'll do by census tract, and although maybe I'll stick with block group. You just click on these areas to create a custom region that are the areas that you really know you need to focus your energy. So you can, click away to save these, and then you can save it as maybe target areas. You can give it a description. We'll leave it this color for now. I can save it. So now you have these non-contiguous areas that are all part of this custom region. And when you open this, you'll see that you have the ability to download data. You can also get a report. So a community profile report is one of the standard reports that we have in PolicyMap. You'll be able to pull out a report for those places on the map. And that is loading now. So you can get a report, download data. You'll be able to share this multi-geography custom region with other people. And you can also edit and delete it.
Perfect. So Sandra had a question about adding the ability to add their own data in the case of locations of train stations for public transit, but also shapefiles for lines, which I think the latter we don't have.
Right. So yes, you can upload address level data, so train station locations or any other, anything with an address or a lat long is what you can load in the self-service data loader. Again, loading shapefiles it's on our list. We have a huge list of improvements and new features that we want to bring to PolicyMap now that we've moved over to the new platform, and that's on the list. I can't really emphasize enough how difficult it has been to bring new features to the platform with technology that was created before an iPhone was created, right? It really hampered our ability to bring these kinds of things about. So that is coming up.
Let's see. Ben had a question about changing the color ramp.
Yeah. So I can, let me get out of here, go back to single layer map. I'm going to take my custom region off. So yes, you can put a, let's look for people less than the age of 18. So now I've made a map that is estimated % of all people under the age of 18. And all you have to do to change the color ramp is select from one of these here. So you do have to select from the predefined palettes that we have, but these are pretty standard palettes in the mapping space, and so we're hoping that it gives you, what you need.
Perfect.
Oh, the other thing too that, oh, sorry, Phil.
Go ahead.
I realized I forgot to mention that the other thing that's really useful and new is that you can look at just a select set of ranges on the map from the legend. So if you just wanted to show, these top 3 areas, you can do that by just selecting or deselecting them from the legend. Sorry, Phil.
Oh, no worries. Alice had a just a question about if we had public transit and bus route data on the tool.
So we do not have transit and bus route data for the nation on the tool. For some of our customers, they've sent us their bus and transit line information and we've loaded it for them, but we have not set about to do it at a national scale. It is something that we're hoping to do this year. My hope is that we'll still be able to do it using Google Transit data. So yeah, right now it's not there.
Really interesting question, which I don't know if we have, which is does the 3D view include hillshade? So I don't know if we have topographical data for 3D.
So let's see. I don't know that the 3D applies to anything but the standard base map, but let's see. Yeah, no. Well, all right, so I've switched it to terrain. And can I go 3D? If I zoom out.
No hillshade.
So that's the 3D view with terrain.
Okay, and then just oh, go ahead.
No, so I was going to say that the data is getting added to the base maps so that you'll be able to, from like right now, if I were to go and add data, it's not going to layer on, but that is being worked on now. So when we release in the week, that will be one of the capacities that you'll have too.
And then a question from Lisa, which is about, is there a limit how many address points can be uploaded, which I believe we're carrying over from the current version of PolicyMap.
Yeah, so Phil, can you answer that one for me?
Yes, yeah, so it's still 10,000 addresses per file, but it's still an unlimited data loader. So if you do have larger data sets, you simply just split it up into chunks of 10,000. A question about the 5 layers, like once you build them, can you save it so that way you can use it and look at other places across the country and city?
Yes, yes, yes. So you can save it and then change the location in the location bar and see that same set of indicators, combination of indicators.
Perfect. And then some of these are more data related questions, things like, do we have indicators for affordability properties and units, which I believe we have calculations for affordability.
Yes, we do. So we have under housing, you're going to find affordability for homeownership affordability for households earning different percentages of AMI. Rental affordability, again, for households earning different percentages of AMI. And then within those, it's by bedroom size. And then cost burdens. And the cost burdens are both the owner cost as a percent of income, those who are cost burdened or extremely cost burdened, also by age and by income. And then the same thing for renters.
Great. And I think most of the other questions are some that we can definitely answer more directly, probably not related to the session itself.
Okay.
Otherwise, if there's any other questions, we're still here to have an answer.
And I was just clicked on FEMA flood zones because I wanted to show this to you. And this is another part that's new to the technology, is that these kinds of shapes of data, we now have the capacity to incorporate in PolicyMap. So previously, we were really limited to loading data that came at a standard geography. a block group, a census tract, and so on. And with this new technology, we have the ability to show something like flood zones, which is really, a picture on a map. And we can do the same thing if we had air quality data or noise data or pollution data. Sort of opens up the world of the types of data that we're able to make available to everyone. And again, if we see the legend, the areas that are red are areas that are at a high risk of a flood zone. So we could take out the yellow ones, which are moderate. We could take off the green, which are minimal, and the blue, which are undetermined, and just see those areas that are in red. And Philadelphia is not one of the more extreme cases, obviously, but when you have on building footprints in some cities that have been hit hard by flooding, you're able to see really with great specificity which buildings are at most risk for flood. If we were to go to New Orleans and do this, it's really quite telling. And when parcel data is loaded in combination, you can actually see which parcels are at the greatest risk when there's a flood.